Good morning. The first item of business is general questions. At question number 1, I call Liam Kerr.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. To ask the Scottish Government what assessment it has made of any impact of the upcoming non-domestic rates revaluation in Aberdeen. Minister Ivan McKee.
Data showing changes in draft rateable values by council area can be found in an interim revaluation report on the Scottish Government website. Those statistics indicate a total increase in rateable value of 7% for Aberdeen City compared to 12% across Scotland as a whole. The budget delivers a reduction in the 3 tax rates for 26-27 and provides support through sectoral and transition relief schemes, including the extended support for the hospitality and self-catering sectors announced at stage 1 of the budget bill.
Liam Kerr.
Well, Aberdeen is reeling today following the announcement that following decades of trading as community pubs, the Kitty Brewster and the Brigadier will join the ever-expanding list of pubs and hospitality premises which have closed. The city is witnessing a tsunami of bar and restaurant closures, with many citing the SNP's eye-watering business rates regime as a key cause. So will the Minister give our pubs and hospitality businesses the breathing space that they need by backing Scottish Conservative plans to exempt most of them from business rates entirely?
Minister.
Well, as I've already indicated to the member, in Aberdeen, the total increase is only 7%, and that's obviously across the 3 years since the last revaluation. The Scottish Government has already put on a total of £870 million in rates reliefs for businesses across the country, including £320 million in the transitional support over the next 3 years to support businesses precisely faced by those challenges. In addition to that, if he was listening last week, you would have heard in the budget we've put in another relief of 25% on top of the 15% reduction that hospitality businesses benefit from, a total of 40% relief for hospitality businesses, which is more than they're receiving in the rest of the UK.
Thank you. Question number 2, Gillian Mackay.
Thanks, Presiding Officer. To ask the Scottish Government how the Population Health Framework will help to tackle the commercial determinants of health.
Secretary Neil Gray.
Presiding Officer, the Population Health Framework sets out a range of actions to tackle the drivers of ill health, including harms caused by alcohol, tobacco and vapes, overweight and obesity and gambling. Legislation to restrict the promotion of less healthy food and drink comes into force later this year, and the Scottish Government is supporting delivery of the Four Nations Tobacco and Vapes Bill, which aims to create the first smoke-free generation. An alcohol and drugs strategic plan will be published in the coming weeks, taking forward the learning and the delivery of the national mission, with alcohol harm prevention and diet and healthy weight plans published later in 2026, setting out key actions in these areas to improve population health.
Gillian Mackay.
When giving evidence to the Health, Social Care and Sport Committee, the Chief Medical Officer stated that, and I quote, "Our prevention agenda is one of the most important things that we can try to do nationally to ensure that we have a sustainable health and care system for the future. It's clear that we need to do more on prevention to keep people well and over time reduce the burden on the NHS. So when will we see comprehensive bans on marketing of alcohol, high-fat, salt and sugar foods and vaping?"
Cabinet Secretary.
Presiding Officer, I agree with the Chief Medical Officer and I agree with Gillian Mackay in her assessment of the need to ensure that we move to a more preventative upstream approach. That's exactly what we have set out in the Population Health Framework and the Service Renewal Framework to ensure that we have a sustainable and needs-based health and social care system. The Government's work to continue and increase the minimum unit price of alcohol is an example of our approach to take concrete action to reduce alcohol harms, and work is underway to consider the range of options for any future uprating of minimum unit pricing. We are also considering Public Health Scotland's recent evidence review of restricting alcohol marketing, though no decisions have been made. Our tobacco and vaping framework sets out the actions we are taking to make Scotland tobacco-free by 2034 and reduce vaping among non-smokers and young adults, and the legislation that I referred to in my earlier answer to restrict the promotion of less healthy food and drink from October 2026 delivers one of the first actions under the Population Health Framework.
Question number 3, Bill Kidd.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. To ask the Scottish Government whether it will provide an update on the baby box, including current availability and the easiest way of applying for one.
Cabinet Secretary Shirley Ann Somerville.
I'm very proud of Scotland's Universal Baby Box programme, the only one in the UK, and I'm delighted that since its inception in 2017, over 367,000 baby boxes have been delivered, with 89% of parents taking up the opportunity to receive a box. Scotland's Baby Box is available to all parents of newborn babies, and they are supported to apply by their midwife. All parents are informed about the Baby Box at the 12-week appointment. Then, at around 25 weeks, they can register for a baby box by completing a free post-registration with their midwife.
Bill Kidd.
I thank the Cabinet Secretary for that reply. Every child in Scotland deserves the best start in life. And can the Cabinet Secretary speak further on how the draft Scottish budget is investing to ensure that we continue to support children and families throughout the early years and beyond?
Cabinet Secretary.
Well, the member is quite right to point to the fact that the baby box is but one part of the Scottish Government's determination to ensure that every child does have the best start in life. That includes, as well, in the budget, the £100 million over 3 years to support the delivery of a universal breakfast club offer for primary school-aged children, the £50 million a year package for whole family support, in addition to continuing to uprate the Scottish Child Payment and, of course, working to increase the payment to £40 for families with a baby in 2027-28 and for babies under 1.
Question number 4, Fulton McGregor.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. To ask the Scottish Government what action it is taking to increase the identification of deep vein thrombosis and pulmonary embolism in primary care.
Minister Marie Todd.
Primary care teams play a key role in recognising and assessing deep vein thrombosis and pulmonary embolism. They have access to Healthcare Improvement Scotland tools that support evidence-based care for patients at risk. The Scottish Intercollegiate Guidelines Network, SIGN, provides guidance on preventing and managing venous thromboembolism, which primary care and other clinicians can use. Members of the public can find information on NHS Inform, and the Scottish Government has endorsed Thrombosis UK's leaflets online. These resources support awareness and timely assessment. Anyone with symptoms of deep vein thrombosis or pulmonary embolism should seek clinical advice promptly.
Fulton McGregor.
I thank the Minister for that answer. My office was recently contacted by the family of David Kellett, who died suddenly from an undiagnosed deep vein thrombosis and pulmonary embolism. I am told by his wife that over nearly 4 months David repeatedly sought medical help for worsening symptoms and was assessed by multiple healthcare professionals. Despite these opportunities, DVT and PE were never considered, investigated or discussed, and less than 48 hours after his final GP appointment, he died at home. His family are now calling for a review of current practices, stronger clinical pathways and safety netting, and improved training and accountability to help prevent similar avoidable deaths. And further to this, David's family are still waiting on a report from the Scottish Public Services Ombudsman regarding his treatment, which has been delayed since last year. So can I ask what work is being done to identify DVT and PE, and what assurances can the Scottish Government give, as far as possible, that no family will go through such a tragic experience in the future?
Minister.
The Scottish Government extends its deepest sympathies to all families affected by DVT and PE, and we recognise the importance of strengthening early identification. NHS boards are responsible for developing and maintaining local clinical pathways to support safe and effective assessment of patients with suspected deep vein thrombosis or pulmonary embolism. Clinical guidance is being kept under review, with SIGN 122 currently on the programme for review. We remain committed to supporting best practice and improving awareness so that tragic experiences like this are avoided in future.
Question number 5, Marie McNair.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. To ask the Scottish Government what assessment it has made of any impact on Scotland of the UK Government's Warmer Homes Plan.
Cabinet Secretary Mary McCallum. Excuse me, Cabinet Secretary. Can I just ask you to check that your card is inserted?
Yeah.
We'll just swap over your card, Cabinet Secretary. Just bear with us momentarily.
Apologies for the delay, Presiding Officer. The UK Warm Homes Plan acknowledges the importance of improving energy efficiency and supporting households, but it does fall short of meaningful action needed to accelerate clean heat and bring down energy bills. Despite promises, the UK Government failed to set out an enduring solution to reduce electricity prices, which do continue to plague households in this energy-rich country. Energy bills indeed remain around £190 higher than at the general election, when the now UK Labour Government pledged to reduce them by £300. But I will continue discussions with the UK Government, urging them to use their reserve powers to go further, including through the adoption of a social tariff.
Marie McNair.
I thank the Cabinet Secretary for that answer. Recently met with MPC Energy, a business in Clydebank, to discuss the impact that Labour's short-sighted plans will have on their business. MPC has over 10 years of experience and has helped hundreds of people on low incomes make their homes energy efficient, but as a result of Labour's plans are now facing that uncertainty. Would the Cabinet Secretary be willing to hear more about their work and consider what more can be done to ensure my constituents and those across Scotland can continue to have access to warm and energy efficient homes?
Cabinet Secretary.
Presiding Officer, I am aware of the concerns that have been expressed by businesses about the effect of the UK Government's delay in publishing its Warm Homes Plan and the uncertainty that exists over future policy and support for heat and energy efficiency measures, and I understand the MPC Energy's concerns in that regard. In contrast, this week we marked a milestone of 50,000 households who have been supported to live in warmer, better homes through our Warm Homes Scotland scheme. My officials and I will provide Ms McNair with the best information on how she and her constituents should approach the UK Government in respect of the continuity of support.
Willie Rennie.
The Scottish Government's home energy scheme is far more expensive than the equivalent in the United Kingdom with its boiler upgrade scheme. Meanwhile, the number of installations in England is going up, while in Scotland it's stalled. When is the Government going to get a grip of this home energy system so that we can get people's bills down in the way that they need and we can get warmer homes too?
Cabinet Secretary.
Well, I would highlight to Willie Rennie that the number of homes with a heat pump installed is higher than ever before in Scotland. According to the Scottish Household Condition Survey in 2019, 23,000 homes had a heat pump installed, and that's increased to 45,000 by 2023. Equally, energy efficiency across all tenures has improved, with the share of domestic properties achieving an EPC rating of at least C has increased from 40% to 52% between 2019 and 2023. Now, he mentions the schemes and compares that with schemes in England. I am always open-minded to how Scotland's schemes can operate better and more efficiently, although I think the take-up that I've spoken to speaks to their success. What I will not do is allow any of the protections that exist within our scheme to be eroded, because as we've seen with some schemes in the rest of the UK, that can leave customers out of pocket and with damaging installations having been made in their homes.
Thank you. Grateful of colleagues joining the meeting. We're to do so quietly. I call Finlay Carson at question number 6.
To ask the Scottish Government how its draft budget 26-27 will ensure meaningful infrastructure improvements in the south of Scotland.
Cabinet Secretary Shona Robertson.
The draft budget includes investment to facilitate the installation of railway electrification infrastructure on sections of the Borders line and to complete the new Dumfries High School. Across the south of Scotland, it will support delivery of affordable homes, around 2.5 hectares of woodland creation, 268 hectares of peatland restoration and a new water treatment works in Borland. Through the growth in city region deals, it ensures work continues to create a 113-mile walking and cycling trail connecting Berwick-upon-Tweed to Moffat, and it promotes growth by developing new fit-for-purpose business units in Tweedbank.
Carson.
I thank the Cabinet Secretary for the response. I welcome this week's announcement of £1.1 million ground investigation contracts for the Springhome and Croggyford bypass project, a clear escalation of proprietary work. However, communities want clarity on the financial direction of travel, not just technical studies. Can the Cabinet Secretary confirm in unequivocal terms whether full dualling of the bypass remains a funded and actively supported option within the Government? And can she set out precisely what formal engagement her Government has had with the UK Government regarding the budgeting, cost-sharing and assessment of the dualling option, so we can understand whether the necessary financial structures are in place?
Cabinet Secretary.
So let me first say, of course, there is a specific reference to the A75 and the A77 road improvements, including the Springholm and Crocketford bypasses project within the new infrastructure delivery pipeline, which was published on the 13th of January. Is included with the development pipeline of the IPD, which relates to those projects with an outlined business case and development, and those being further defined. I'm pleased that Finlay Carson welcomed the £1.1 million of ground investigation works contract. I can tell him that the design assessment work to consider options for realigning the trunk road with bypasses at the villages is well underway and proceeding at pace. And of course we welcome the announcement from the UK Government is committed funding for the remainder of the current study that will enable us to complete the initial work to consider improvements to this key route at Springholm and Crocketford and identified a preferred route option by early 2027.
Question number 7, Sharon Dowie.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. To ask the Scottish Government whether it plans to continue providing funding to any organisations that challenge the judgment in the For Women Scotland versus the Scottish Minister's case.
Cabinet Secretary Shirley-Anne Somerville.
The Equality, Inclusion and Human Rights Fund supports a range of civil society organisations that deliver work focused on tackling inequality and discrimination, furthering equality and advancing the realisation of human rights in Scotland. Organisations must fulfil and meet their obligations under the grant requirements in place for that fund. Each organisation must deliver against their agreed obligations, and these are monitored via a biannual process of reports and quarterly finance reports on funded services.
Sharon Dowie.
Thank you. Various organisations have recently sought to reverse the implementation of single-sex spaces, ignoring the crystal-clear ruling by the Supreme Court last year and, in turn, the rule of law. Yet the Scottish Government insists on still funding them. Meanwhile, 10 months on, and the SNP have still failed to ensure that its public bodies are fully following that judgment, leading to costly legal challenges at the expense of the taxpayer. Will the Scottish Government finally issue an apology to women and girls in Scotland for their failure to fully implement this judgment? And will the SNP Government finally ensure that any body or organisation it funds is committed to providing single-sex spaces?
Cabinet Secretary.
Well, I reiterate once again, Presiding Officer, that the Scottish Government does accept the Supreme Court judgment and is implementing it. I would point out that the schemes that Sharon Dowie are referring to are helplines, befriending organisations, community engagement. And can I refer her to the recent hate crime statistics, which just came out on the 17th of February, which pointed to hate crimes against race, sexual orientation, disability, religion and transgender, as well as the ongoing challenges we have around misogyny. So while the Tories will stoke up division, Presiding Officer, I am proud that the Scottish Government will continue to promote and protect equality and human rights throughout Scotland for everyone.
Thank you. Question number 8. Question number 8, Elena Whittam.
To ask the Scottish Government whether it will provide further details on the support provided to NHS boards to develop specialist care pathways for postural tachycardia syndrome.
Minister Marie Todd.
We expect NHS boards to provide safe, person-centred care for people with postural tachycardia syndrome. Whilst responsibility for specific clinical pathways lies with NHS boards, we've allocated more than £137 million to boards this year to help tackle the longest waits for appointments and procedures. This includes over £500,000 for cardiology and £500,000 for neurology, the specialties that are most likely to support people with postural tachycardia syndrome. I have every sympathy with postural tachycardia syndrome patients and the challenges that they face. We want patients to receive all of the support that they are entitled to.
Elena Whittam.
I thank the Minister for her answer. Constituents of Carrickmillock and Doon Valley who have or suspect they have POTS have no dedicated care pathway provided by NHS Ayrshire and Arran, meaning many are being misdiagnosed and often end up using A&E to try and manage their much misunderstood condition. Now, I accept that these decisions are made at board level, but could I ask what more the Scottish Government could do to support the creation of dedicated POTS care pathways alongside the training of healthcare professionals?
Minister.
Thank you for raising the concerns of constituents in Carrick, Cumnock and Doon Valley. Whilst NHS boards are responsible for local service configuration, the Scottish Government is supporting improvements in the recognition, diagnosis and management of POTS. Alongside the increased waiting times investment, we've provided £4.5 million in recurring funding to strengthen services for long COVID and ME/CFS. Those are conditions often linked with POTS. We also work closely with NHS Education for Scotland to enhance clinical knowledge of autonomic dysfunction, fatigue and related conditions, providing training and resources to support earlier identification and better management of conditions like POTS. And that's complemented by accessible NHS Inform guidance for both clinicians and patients.